The Keepit Dam on the Namoy River near Tamworth provides water for farmers, domestic users and the environment. It's full now, but levels fell to a shocking 1% during the drought.
We've had 2 good years and the hedge storages have filled up over that time, but the 5 years previous to that was as dry as it ever gets, and Keepit Dam was down to 0%. We didn't have any irrigation water for 2 of those last few years.
During dry times, farm water allocations are cut, so you can imagine how angry irrigators, residents and environmentalists were knowing some were cheating the system.
That water loss account has to be made up again before irrigators are given any more water. So if water goes missing, it comes off irrigators' accounts. So irrigators don't like non-compliance.
Tonight, we raise serious allegations about the way the plan is working, with accusations of illegal water use.
Anger at the New South Wales government's poor policing of its own Water Act bubbled over in a 2017 Four Corners story.
The system relies on compliance with having meters that are fully functioning and adhere to a particular standard, or the maintenance of logbooks. So if they're not working or they're not being complied with those requirements, then that's an illegal act.
If people aren't adhering to the rules, well, why have any rules, you know? It's just an absolute joke.
It led to the establishment of an independent regulator.
The NRA Act, the Natural Resources Access Regulator Act, was passed in 2017, just a matter of months after the program aired. The NRA board was constituted soon thereafter. I was appointed and my executive appointed within 8 months of the program airing. That response, I think, is unprecedented. There's no mechanism by which a water user can now go to the politicians and say, we want certain outcomes here.
Well done, generally to the team about where we've come to 4 years.
The state's top water cop says 4 years ago the state was like the Wild West.
Did you find non-compliance just in one industry or in one corner of the state, or not?
North, south, east, west, unregulated, regulated, groundwater, surface water, any crop type, we found non-compliance pervasive.
And that was because they took a punt, the chance of getting caught was pretty low?
Chance of getting caught was low, no one was watching, why not?
Some reasoned it was a risk worth taking, as crops grown with water taken unlawfully could be worth 7 figures. Even if caught, a fine would be a fraction of the profit.
And that's why we're here, to reaffirm that fairness for all, so to remove that profit from criminal behaviour. Taking water that you're not entitled to is certainly not a victimless crime. When you're taking water that is not yours, you're taking it from fellow farmers, you're taking it from the environment, and you're also taking it from local communities.
Taking water unlawfully is also a serious environmental issue, as New South Wales contains 75% of the Murray-Darling Basin.
Will we notice in the next drought a more robust river system?
I think you will. You will notice that, in that we have brought to bear through our work the acknowledgement amongst most water users that they can't take that extra drop, that every drop does count, particularly so in circumstances of drought. When do you anticipate that we're able to lay the charges?
I think in the very near future.
Grant Barnes wants to restore faith in the oversight of the state's 151,000 water access licences.
What the public needs to be confident in is you have an independent regulator that has the expertise, that has the resources, that has the access to technology, that we can bring the cases to court where it's appropriate to do so.
When NRA finds that someone has breached the water regulations, it has a range of tools at its disposal, including warnings, fines, prosecutions, forced remediation of illegal earthworks and public naming of convicted offenders. But Grant Barnes says it's time the cotton industry stepped up and made compliance part of its social licence. Imagine, for example, if a gin didn't take cotton from a convicted offender.
When we talk about social licence, it's not simply complying with the law. That's one's obligation. That should be taken as read. Social licence is going above and beyond. So there are opportunities here with the industry to do more than just what is required by law.
Cotton Australia says it takes the issue very seriously, and since 2019 it's removed growers convicted of water offences from its best practice program. They're only allowed back in after an audit shows they're compliant.
So where are we off to today, Sarah?
I think we're going to David first. So
Oh, okay.
we're looking at a few pumps and bores.
It has a vast beat, but NRA can't do without boots on the ground. Field officers like Sarah Walsh and Samantha Ross visit farmers to confirm they're abiding by their licence conditions.
Sam, how are you? Yep.
Well, we're here today to just check some pumps and bores for water take based on your licences and approvals that you have.
Yep.
The pair can do up to 20 farm visits a week, and generally they're welcomed.
I was a bit hesitant when I started the job, but I mean, all the farmers are really lovely.
We'll go down here.
Great.
Follow me.
Yep.
Today it's a friendly drop-in to David Phelps, a cotton grower near Wee Waa. He supports NRA's creation.
Our water group in the Nemoy Valley has been lobbying for this going back as early as 2012, you know. What's that, 4 or 5 years before pumped was done. So, yeah, so we're glad to see it.
David's full allocation is 15,000 megalitres.
Water is very precious. It makes up half my asset value on the farm. Yeah, here we go.
Yep.
I've met with a lot of staff and they're all polite and friendly people to get on with. And if you're doing the right thing, there's just no problem.
Word goes out that someone's been caught and even been prosecuted and charged. What's the reaction that you feel out here?
They're glad. They're glad. It's water that they potentially could have missed out on, that the environment could have missed out on. Yeah. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
1,000 field officers couldn't possibly track down all water rustlers. They need real-time information that will stand up in court.
Yep, agree with that.
NRA's boots on the ground now get help from multiple eyes in the sky. And those eyes, satellites, drones and planes, have for the first time given the water cops the upper hand.
It's made such a difference.
Yep.
Yeah.
The technology that's coming out is incredible. Makes it, some really good images.
Satellite data has increased prosecution rates.
I think we've done more in 4 years than the previous 20.
But let's zoom in on the dams because we use this very high-resolution satellite imagery to have a look at what's happening within dams on any particular property.
Using satellite images, NRA can track water and soil movement, even crops growing, when all available information says they shouldn't be.
A lot of detail. Here we have all the licensed works within this area. We can also analyse the satellite imagery and determine what are the irrigated areas. So we've done that type of analysis and we've automated it, and now you can see the yellow outlines over the red areas. That's how we quantify how much irrigated area is happening within each area. And once we have that, we can zoom in some more and overlay property boundaries. And here we can have a look at any single property. And
NRA can see the application, taking and storing of water anywhere in the state.
And we can very easily and quickly detect if someone has been filling a dam at a time when they're not supposed to be filling a dam, for example, if they don't have a water order in place. We can also monitor direct water application to crops and use a similar technique to find crop fields that have been applying water when they don't have a water order in place.
These images are compared to ones of land surfaces taken from planes.
We use this airborne laser survey information, for example, to assess volumes of dams, depths of excavations, depths of channels that have been dug, anything like that.
It's not new technology that's made a difference, it's the ability of spatial and database analysts to compare data from multiple sources with information in landholders' licence and water accounts.
So we've really closed the loop on that stuff, and that was quite a eureka moment for us about 12 months ago.
And for the first time, an investigator recently put in a request for satellite pictures, which will be back in 2 days.
We're not just having imagery from 6 months ago, which used to be the issue. You know, the Google Earth and some of those other satellite sites were quite dated, but they're more contemporary now, almost and daily now. In fact, almost hourly.
So what we have here today is a coming together of our boots on the ground program with our eyes in the sky. So the smarts upstairs and the smarts in the room.
So just keep coming down slowly.
Recently, NRA's investigators met to learn about the latest detective tech.
So you have to get that to line up.
What are they impressed about so far?
I think they're impressed about the fact that the technology is available and that it tends to return very good results. The purpose of today's exercise is to try to find the deepest part of the dam and also to try to create a three-dimensional model of the dam.
Castable depth sounders from the fishing industry assess water volume to help build 3D models of dams.
What our investigators want to know is how big a dam is and how much water is in the dam, and this is what these tools do. They can't see what's underneath, and it's sometimes the case that a dam may be deepened and we don't know.
This bathymetric survey-grade boat also calculates dam volume. It's so new, there's only one, but there'll be more.
That's just come through leaps and bounds over recent years, that these are tools, not toys, that make us better and more efficient regulator. I love that stuff.
The dams being filling.
Assessing satellite images is for specialists sitting at a desk, but investigators need tech they can use in the field. Drones mounted with a range of cameras and lasers are valuable investigative tools.
It's a good way to preserve that evidence. When you fly a drone, you can record in photographs or video what you've looked at, and that stays obviously on file. You put a drone up and you can get really good visuals of that whole entire feature.
As the Four Corners program showed, farmers have pulled all sorts of tricks to not pay for water.
In this water source, which is
now it's compulsory to fit tamper-proof seals to water meters.
So everyone's got an individual number.
Investigators have equipment that measures water flow from underground bores.
At the moment it's doing around about 8.7 megalitres per day.
What flows out can also be verified.
I love technology. I'm a kid in a candy store. What you are seeing with the technology that we have available is quite extraordinary.
And those who figure clouds can blind satellites, think again.
The newest satellites also have radar technology on board, and we are starting to use radar imagery to be able to see through clouds.
Grant Barnes says tech has tamed the Wild West, and he's certain large volumes of water are no longer being taken. But he has a quote from a Liam Neeson movie for those who think they can outsmart his people and their tech.
It's not worth taking the chance, because as Liam says, we can see it, we are watching and we're coming.